I'm kind of glad that it's out there. I hadn't told any of my close friends or family or even my teammates that I was going to do it. I just had to sort of deal with it myself. When you know it's time to go.
Let's go to our final guest of the day. We saw him in action on Saturday. He called it a career after a great 10-year run in the UFC. In total, 17, 10-1. You know him as the Bear Jew, the pride of Scotland, the one and only Paul Craig. Kind enough to join us on this Tuesday evening in Scotland. There he is. Hello, Paul. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and really appreciate you coming on. I'm sure the last couple of days haven't been the easiest, and we saw the emotion afterwards. And so could I ask off the top, 3 or so days later, 72 hours later, how are you dealing with everything that transpired on Saturday?
Still really emotional. Lots of people are showing me love on social media, and the videos that people are making and the song choices are just, they're sticking in my throat. But I do believe it was the right decision to walk away from the sport when I'm still relatively sharp in my mind.
And so was this something you were thinking of going into the fight, or did it hit you in the moment after the result?
No, I've been toying with this for a good few months. I changed teams 3 years ago, and one of the things I wanted to do was rack up a couple of victories. It never really worked out for me. Now, I was getting better. My striking was getting better. My jiu-jitsu was getting better. But age was catching up with me. And I sort of toyed with the idea after I lost to Caio Baralho in Brazil. And then they offered me New York, Madison Square Garden against Bo Nickel. And I went like, right, I'm able to do this middleweight cut one more time. Let's go for it. Didn't end the way I wanted it to end. And then I was going to retire then. That's when I'd sort of made up my mind, right, this sport probably isn't for me. It's probably I've seen better days in it. And then they offered me sort of redemption at 205, and I decided to go back up. And then there was this whole nonsense with a rash the night of the fight. And then the fight was then moved 4 weeks later, and then the fight ended in a no contest. And I didn't want that to be my last fight. If I was going to go out and I was going to get beat, and I wanted to get beat, and that's how I wanted to leave the sport. So then it was one more chance, and then it was Paris. And one of the things that happen in this sport is you've got to make way for the young guys. And then Modestus, he's a young up-and-coming guy. He's on a great streak. He's one of the top UK prospects. So it just seemed like a great opportunity for me. If I beat him, then I beat a young up-and-coming guy. And if I lost to him, then it was sort of passing the baton. I'd toyed with it for a long time, so I'm kind of glad that it's out there. I hadn't told any of my close friends or family or even my teammates that I was going to do it. I just had to sort of deal with it myself. I didn't want MJ to try and talk me out of it, because when you know it's time to go. And I'd done a few interviews where I made a few comments about it, where I sort of trickled it in, and I had to kind of not almost retract the statement, but make out as if I was retiring.
And if you would have won, to be clear, would you have stuck around, or do you think you would have walked away regardless of the result?
If the victory was there, I would have walked away. I'd made a deal. I made a deal with myself: win, lose or draw, I was walking away. That video, like, so emotional to watch. Like,
yeah,
I'm unable to speak because I love this sport. It's been so good to me. I know a lot of people leave this sport with a sour taste. I'm definitely not leaving a sour taste in my mouth. The reception I got in Paris was incredible. So I'm leaving happy. Everybody around about me is upset because I have walked away from the sport, but I do believe it's my time to walk away. I'm 37. I'll be 38 in the end of November. You know, I've got a full life in front of me.
Is there any part of you that wishes you did it at Madison Square Garden, that you didn't stick around for these last two fights?
Yes, because then you're just prolonging it, and then the last thing you want to happen is the whole Tony Ferguson thing where people are looking at his previous fights. And that's why I wanted to leave. That's why, like, when I look at some of these moments in my career, I'm happy that I've done it. Like this for me, I've been there, I've done it. 21 fights in the UFC, 25 fight camps, fought some of the best guys in the world. And for me, when I first started this sport and we spoke a way back, and I'm sure it was Vegas the first time we spoke.
Yeah.
I know we'd spoke after my first victory, but in person, and I'd say to you, like, I'm not in this sport for anything other than memories. I've got nothing but memories over the last 10 years, and they are pretty positive. Like, some of the cool stuff that I've done, being part of the video game, having the Panini cards, that's all I wanted for this sport. So I'm more than happy to walk away knowing that I never got the title. The highest I got was number 7 as a light heavyweight. But not everybody in this sport will be a champion.
Right, and that's pretty damn great. I mean, that's 1% of the world that could even fathom, less than 1% of society that could fathom of doing what you guys do, and to become number 7 is an incredible feat. What would you say was sort of like the apex of the career? What was your happiest moment?
Happiest moment has to be the last second submission, because at that point I was ready to leave the sport, because I always made a deal with myself. I wouldn't take anything less than the best. And when I say the best, I mean, I've always held the UFC as the pinnacle of this sport. So even at the time where Bellator was still there and there was another few promotions, UFC was always my goal. And the UFC decided to cut me after that fight against Ankalaev. Then I was going to walk away.
Wow.
So,
that was 7 years ago.
It was. So I've prolonged this career for 7 years, and I'm happy with it. Going for that last second submission after taking a bleaching from the current champ, and then having the opportunity to stand in Rio and stand in Sao Paulo against Shogun Rua, to break Jamal Hill's arm, to get the victory after COVID against Krylov. Like, I've had so many good memories. Like, I genuinely cannot pick one moment where I've been so happy. And even the losses are still part of the career, and still enjoy them. Still, that feeling that you get for win, lose or draw is still an amazing feeling that no one will ever experience apart from a fighter.
I don't know, maybe this is a crazy thought, but does it make it a little easier to digest the fact that you're walking away and the champion is the guy that you pulled off this incredible submission? Does it, I don't know, does that give you any sort of solace in the end, or is that a crazy thought?
You know, I always really had that sort of Q jump mentality where, like, oh, just one more victory. A victory in the light heavyweight division can easily put you in the top 10. When I moved, as I said, I think I was number 7 at my highest point, number 9 as I left to go to middleweight. And I always thought one victory in the light heavyweight division would get me in that mix. That victory never came. But I can't take anything away for the career that Ankalaev's had. Like, right, I was his first fight in the UFC, and yes, I've got the victory over him. But when you look at what he's done to people and what he couldn't put me away, he couldn't finish me. He did put an absolute beating on me, but it's 15 minutes, and if you can get the job done in 15 minutes, then you get the victory, and that's how I managed to get that last-minute submission. So I'm not taking away anything for Ankalaev's career, because I think he'll be champ for a long time.
Do you leave with any regrets?
I do. One of my major regrets is not leaving my gym in the time when I did. I was in a small gym in Scotland. We didn't have any high prospects coming out of the gym who were going to make it to the UFC, and that's not insulting anybody from the gym. I just had to be with killers, and I was the biggest guy in the gym. So for a long time, I was able to bully people. And then when I started to get into these harder fights, I wasn't able to use my skill as best as I could. So the only regret I have is not leaving when I did.
As far as the fight on Saturday, obviously, you know, the ending was hard to watch. It was a pretty brutal shot. I even saw a photo of your ear. It looked like it was cut.
Yep.
Okay, yes. How is it doing?
Yeah, it's only a bit of damage. Nothing the stitches won't sort out. But my modelling career's kind of over now, because it kind of sticks out. It almost sticks out like this size.
I didn't know. By the way, for the record, I did not notice until you just pointed it out. So
yes, so now it is. So just as I'm getting older, I'm taking a lot more damage. The Saturday morning we were doing the shakeout, and we ended up with like a fracture in our wrist.
Oh
so
my
we had to
gosh!
go, and it's just, I've never left the fight with any sort of cauliflower ears. I've never broke a bone, and then within one day I ended up with a crack in my wrist. My ears now got cauliflower. So it was all just kind of, yep, it's time to walk away. It made it so much easier.
So you fractured your wrist before the fight?
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
So after we've done a weight cut on the Friday, your body ends up retaining a lot of like junk inside it, like byproducts from the weight cut, like toxins. So we like to in the morning, we end up doing like a little shakeout, get the blood flowing, get all the crap out your blood. And it was the fourth last punch. The combination was step through cross, overhook right, overhook left, overhook right, and it went. And I tried to sleep after it, and it was just excruciating. And then thanks to Bob, the corner, the cut man, and then who was wrapping the hands, he wrapped it up and made sure it was tight enough. So even if I was going to fling a shot, it wasn't going to abandon me.
Damn.
But the fight never happened the way I wanted it to happen, because in my head I had this glory of going out there and winning. And even though I was looking to walk away from the sport, I still wanted to win. Everybody that steps in the octagon wants to win. And just wasn't my night. Modestus was the better practitioner. Made a silly mistake to try and jump a flying triangle. In my head, what better way to go out of the sport than a flying triangle?
Yeah, yeah.
And that resulted in me just getting caned with elbows.
By the way, did you consider not fighting after the injury?
No, that was never going to happen, because then it would have mean I would have to have done a brand new fight camp.
Geez. Yeah.
Then it would have been another, and it's just this prolonged. There's always something going to stop you from doing it. You know what? It's probably not the right time. I could just one more. And the next thing you know, you're 40 and a broken man with a mind that isn't as sharp and a face that looks like a potato.
I asked you about regrets earlier. I'm just curious about the move to middleweight. I know you've talked about how you developed an eating disorder and it just wasn't very healthy for you. Do you wish you never did that in retrospect?
You know what? Yes, I do. I've never actually said that. I've never thought about it, but until you point it out there were so many negatives that went along with it. At the time, I believed it was a great opportunity for me. Hindsight, I look at it and I think it was a terrible idea. You only lost to Johnny Walker and Ozdemir, two highly ranked individuals in the light heavyweight division. You easily could have been back in the mix there a lot sooner, rather than taking the damage, as well as the issues that came along with being a middleweight, the reduction of white blood cell count, the eating disorder, the lower testosterone. There was just a whole host of things that went along with that. But I made sure I had left no stone uncovered as a middleweight. So yeah, as you're saying it now, it seems like a
Do you feel like your body has recovered from that experience?
I do. Mentally, yes. The eating disorder, although it still creeps in every once in a while, it's not as bad as it was. It was really bad, and I do believe that more fighters are out there suffering with this, because we're in a weight making sport. We're in a sport where people look at how we look. Like the first thing that I remember when Jamal Hill came back after his layoff, nobody was talking about what he was going to do to people or his training or his fight. Everybody was talking about how he looked, and it was like, well, Jamal Hill's fat. Now the guy's clearly not fat. He was just carrying a little bit excess weight from being injured. And the same at the weekend was at Tai Bura. People are already saying another fat heavyweight. Like, the fans put a lot of pressure on us to look a certain way, and I'm kind of glad to see that. But the eating disorder was probably the worst, and I'm still feeling negative effects for that. But it's not as bad as it was as a middleweight, and I think it's only going to get better the further I walk away from the sport.
We showed that clip of you walking out. Obviously, you were emotional, and I don't blame you. What was it like when you got to the back, to the locker room? You're with your team, and the cameras are off you now. What was it like when things started to settle in backstage?
I was fine until people spoke to me. And the UFC people are lovely. The blue shirts, the people that run backstage, they would all come up to me and make me feel loved within this sport. And that was making me more emotional. When I was just sitting there myself, I was fine. I reflected massively this Saturday night once everybody had left me and I was just left alone in my room with my own thoughts. Watched some clips that people had shared of me, read some messages and had a good cry. That was it was really emotional for me. Phoned my wife and we had a good cry together just about the good times, because they were tears of both sadness, happiness, joy. There was a whole host of emotions that went along with this.
Sometimes when guys walk away, as you know, a year or two goes by and they come back in some way, shape, or form, you seem to be very conscious of your health and not wanting to affect your health long term. Do you think this is it for you? Do you think you're done competing in any way, shape, or form?
I believe I'll still do the jiu-jitsu element of it. I love that sport. I don't get punched in the face. You don't take as much damage as a jiu-jitsu fighter as you do as an MMA fighter. So I'll definitely dip my toe in the jiu-jitsu scene, but I can't see myself coming back as a one of these MMA shadows. And I hate to see these guys do it. MMA was never my first career choice. I fell into it. I was lucky enough to fall into it because it gave me so many good opportunities. If I go back to teaching, if I go and do something with the sport in the worlds of, I don't know, coaching, PT, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I can't just sit down and do nothing because that's going to make my mind go absolutely wild. I do believe I'm going to be involved in the sport some way. I obviously run the podcast, and I love doing that. I love talking about the fights. I love discussing with my friends about the fights. So I will be involved in the sport. Just not getting punched in the face for a career is going to be right up there with things I'm not going to do.
Do you think you'll coach?
Coaching's a very fickle thing. I don't mind dipping my toe in the world of coaching, but I don't think I'll be a full-time coach. When I look at my coach, James Doolan, and what he does, because it's not just about standing on that mat for an hour. There's a whole host of things, dealing with individual people, doing the traveling to the local shows. There's a lot of emotion involved in that as well, where although we lost a team on Saturday night, my coach went away home and deals with his own emotions with being a coach and his fighter losing. He's now going away on Saturday to coach again in Cage Warriors. So it's that constant chasing other fights, helping other fighters, dealing with their emotional problems, dealing with their financial issues, whole host of things. I don't think the way I'm sitting right now as a 37-year-old man, I don't think I'm ready to step into that realm yet.
Do you think there's something completely outside of combat that you'll do? Of course, we know the story of you formerly being in a totally different life now, a school teacher that was much talked about in your early days. Do you think you'll do something completely off the combat sports grid?
I think I will. I love this sport, and it was taken away from me by doing it as a job. When I first joined the sport and I started learning, I was good at the sport because I had passion for it. Somewhere along the lines, that passion moved from being something I really loved doing to something that I had to do because it was my job. I want to get the passion back. I want to enjoy the learning elements rather than chasing a fight, chasing a position. Fight camps are tough and they're not the best things to be part of. So I think I probably will be somewhere else and see if it is working in a local news agents. I'll do that. I don't mind working a Monday 9 to 5 job. Not that I need to, but I don't mind doing it.
Any chance you go back to being a school teacher?
You know where I would like to go? I'd like to go to the element of working with disadvantaged kids who, this sounds a bit cheesy, but kids who don't have a positive male role model, don't know where they want to go in life. I think I can offer them something because as a young adult, I was exactly the same. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I want to do. But I believe I've learned some vital skills along the journey that I've had that can help these kids. I'd love to go into that kind of world. Use all the skills that I've collected over these, let's say, 20 years to help somebody else grow up.
That would be amazing, and I could see you being a great role model and inspiration for these young kids. I was talking to a colleague, someone who works on the show, about your style and about your legacy, and they made a really interesting comparison. And I wonder if you've ever been approached with this and thought of it, comparing you to Sakuraba in that you would sometimes take a beating to get the submission off your back. Given your background, obviously, in grappling, I was like, wow, I never really thought of him being the Scottish Sakuraba, but I kind of love that and wish I thought of it earlier. Did you ever think of that comparison before?
No, but as you're saying it, I've got a smile on my face because, yeah, we would take a beating. And there was that element when Modestus was raining down these shots, I still believed, I'm like, I can catch him. And I know we're talking seconds in this sport, but in my head, I'm like, I can still catch him. And it's classic Sakuraba. And I think it's a better comparison than being Homer Simpson, the boxer.
Yes, 100%. Especially in this sport, 100%. Although, Homer's not bad as well. You are beloved by your fans, by your country. I saw a lot of media members, our own PT Cal, writing very nice things about you as well. Seeing all of that, what is that like to see this outpouring? Because, you kind of go through life and you get nice things said here and there, but then when you retire, it's somewhat like a funeral in that everyone comes out and says something nice about you, but you're alive and you're reading it. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it was overwhelming because social media can be a bit of a fickle place if you're a losing fighter. There's always going to be your die-hard fans who will follow you to the ends of the earth. But the messages that stick in your head are normally the ones of unwell wishers, if you will, the people who are throwing you shade. So to see all these people that I've met or I've had some sort of relationship with over the years come out, and I'm talking hundreds of people have come out and showed me some bit of love. It's been overwhelming, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't expect the standing ovation in Paris, the same again. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm just going to keep riding the wave. Right now, I'm in a nice place with the retirement because it's a few days. It's still pretty raw. The emotions are still high. All the messages are coming in. All the nice videos, photos, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be in a few weeks, a few months when everything dies down, and then you just return back to being Paul. That's when it's going to be hard.
When the music kind of stops, right? When the spotlight kind of moves away.
Yep. In this sport, that's what happens.
Do you think that's going to be difficult?
See, the last part of this sport, I fell out of love with it. I fell out of love with being in I know I wasn't a huge celebrity in the world of mixed martial arts, but I still had a lot of fans and I still had a lot of love, and I kind of fell out with that kind of element of being in the spotlight. So I'm kind of looking forward to just going out and being Paul Craig and not being Paul the Bear Jew Craig. Because it's almost like an alter ego.
Right. Now you could just kind of chill and not be on so much.
I think I should shave my beard.
No. Are you thinking of this? Are you considering that?
I did actually consider it. I have considered about just losing the beard because it was part of that guy.
Yeah. When's the last time you were clean shaven?
I think I shaved after my last Bama fight.
Wow.
So that's like 12 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so it'll be a total refresh.
Yes, and I'm not the most handsomest without my beard.
Okay. Well, we'll give it a shot if you want. If you're interested. Was there someone who reached out? Someone who said something that really struck a chord that hit you hard?
There was a message that I got from one of the producer from my podcast. He had written me. His name's Craig. He had written me like almost a piece, and the guys are putting it out, and I will tag you in it. And it was just lovely. And I read it, and as I'm reading it, the tears were literally running down my face, hitting the phone. And it was lovely even thinking about it now. So I will send you it, and you can do what you will with it. But for me, it was a really emotional, from the heart statement from this guy, Craig.
I love it. Anything before we let you go? Anything you want to say to the people who have been so kind to you and supported you and had your back?
Yeah, just that, this sport is all about ups and downs. We had more ups than we had downs. But the time came for me to walk away. So thank you so much for the love and support, and always be the Bear duties.
I have thoroughly enjoyed, as I've said to you, covering your career, having you on, talking to you, all the chats. I'll never forget when I asked you about what was under the kilt, and you let us know that it was nothing, and I respected that mightily. But it was never boring with you. It was never boring in and out of the cage, not in a bad way, but it was sort of kill or be killed, right? You were winning big and in spectacular fashion, or sometimes it didn't go your way, but it was always very entertaining. And so perhaps as a prize fighter, that's the very best that you can ask for. So congratulations on a phenomenal career. Well done. You made your country proud. It was really great covering and watching you. And thank you for coming on and talking about this. And hopefully you're not too far away, and we'll hear from you in the future as well.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your kind words.
All the best to you, Paul.
Thank you.
There he is, Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, the pride of Scotland, kind enough to join us after announcing his retirement on Saturday after a tough night against Modestas Bukauskas. We had him on the program yesterday, the Baltic Gladiator, great win for him. And this is the sport, right? It's the circle of life. And another one from that era of when I first started covering the sport and connecting with fighters and having them on this show and seeing them on Fight Week. It's just bound to happen. But it sounds like he's going to stick around, podcasts, doing other things, and so that is great. And perhaps one of the European outlets can have him on board as well. He's very well spoken, very thoughtful, very smart when it comes to fighting, empathetic. Much love to the great Paul Craig. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.